Okay, I'm going to talk about diet a little bit, but I don't even want to use the word diet. I like the word nutrition, and I'll explain why. But basically, I'm just going to give you the strategies I used to get rid of my poor eating habits, okay? And ultimately, the reason I say I like the word nutrition more than diet is because diet insinuates that you are making a temporary change to your nutrition, right? When in reality, you don't want to do that. What you want to do is you want to make a permanent change to your nutrition. And that can kind of be summarized as a lifestyle change, right? So the change I made in my life was a lifestyle change. It was in conjunction with changing my nutrition. I started exercising, right? And this helped me keep this lifestyle change helped me stay sustainable with my nutrition. And that's the reason I don't like the word diet, because when you pick one of these fad diets, when you pick carnivore, or you pick vegan, or you pick I don't know, keto, you're going on a diet with the assumption that you're going to come off that diet at some point in the future. And when you come off that diet, what's going to happen is you're going to probably fall into your old eating habits. And that is why people say that 95% of diets fail. It's because you went on a diet and you never changed. You just went on a diet to lose some weight with the assumption that you were going to come off that diet. It's better to look at nutrition under the lens of a lifestyle change. That way, you actually change the habits rather than just like brute forcing yourself through a diet for 3 months just to lose 25 pounds or whatever. So that's the reason, again, that I prefer to use the word nutrition. So again, I'm just going to basically give you my strategy that I use to get rid of my poor eating habits. And I'm hoping that maybe you can get some value from this if you have an eating disorder, or maybe you're obese or something. Again, these restrictive diets, they're restrictive, right? And that because of that, that kind of leads to their unsustainability. What I did was I didn't make restrictive changes to my nutrition. I made slow, sustainable changes to my nutrition. And there is no food group that exists that I avoid entirely. Okay, so the point in that saying that is that at no point in my life am I going to have to avoid carbs entirely, right? Or am I going to have to avoid meat, right? That's what these radical extremist diets do, like vegan, carnivore, and keto, right? They avoid entire macronutrients or entire food groups, and because of that, they often fail people. So, again, what did I do? Well, I replaced the processed food in my diet with plant-based fibrous foods. Okay, and those plant-based fibrous foods for me were primarily fruits and vegetables, but to a lesser extent, nuts, whole grains, and legumes. Now, I don't eat a whole lot of legumes, but I do occasionally, and I I mainly prioritize the fruits and vegetables. And the thing about fruits is that you don't want to eat too many fruits if you're not super active, but if you're active, eat all the fruit you want. And fruit is great for you if you're an active person. And again, that's where the exercise comes in. But the bottom line is that I didn't take the processed foods out of my diet. What I did was I put plant-based fibrous foods into my diet. And in doing so, what happens is your body just kind of starts to feel more full. You are more satiated when you eat a variety of plant-based fibrous foods. Now, the variety is a very important factor to kind of zero in on here. So if you were to just eat one vegetable and, instead of a variety, and just eat a ton of, say, like, I don't know, romaine lettuce, if you just ate a ton of one vegetable, what happens is that your gut microbiome adapts to the food you eat, right? So if you ate one vegetable or one type of food in general, your gut microbiome only needs a limited number of different types of microbes to break down that food. So when you only eat one type of food, what happens is your gut microbiome there'll be an overgrowth of a certain type of microbe. And this can lead to all kinds of problems. Okay, it can lead to leaky gut, which leaky gut can lead to inflammation, and inflammation recently has been shown to lead to all kinds of chronic diseases, from like Alzheimer's, cardiovascular diseases, other cancers. The bottom line is that anything that can lead to inflammation can be very harmful for you long term. And if you're only eating a very narrow breadth of foods, you're going to increase your chances of having an unhealthy micro gut biome. And what an unhealthy gut microbiome looks like is a gut microbiome that's not diverse. So the way you get that diversity is by eating a diversity of foods, right? Diversity of plant-based foods. And what it does is it increases the number of microbes needed to break down all those different foods. Okay, and basically you'll get microbes that are made to break down fiber, that feed on the fiber, that feed on all the other things that are needed to break down this variety of foods. And in effect, what this means is that a diverse gut microbiome is kind of equivalent to a healthy gut microbiome. And this is this is why I'm zeroing in on this, because what happens when you're eating one type of food all the time is you're not getting a diverse, you're not getting all of the micronutrients you need, okay? And if you're eating processed food, most of the micronutrients are stripped out of all that processed food. So if you're only eating processed food, you're getting the macros, right? You're getting the carbs, the protein, and the fat, but you're probably not getting the micronutrients. And those micronutrients are the things that signal your body to turn off hunger signals, okay? So in addition to that, the diverse micronutrients, if you have the right stuff in your body also, the enzymes in your body also they synthesize compounds that your body needs. Again, if you're not getting those micronutrients, you're not synthesizing those compounds. And the result is that your body's just not going to be functioning optimally. If you only eat the processed foods, your body never shuts off the hunger signals, so you keep eating because your body tells you you're hungry even though you're gaining weight, right? You're still kind of malnourished in a sense. Even if you're obese, you're probably malnourished because you're not getting micronutrients. There are probably, it seems kind of contradictory to say that obese people are malnourished. The truth is they probably are, most of them, because they're not getting the micronutrients. Their body is telling them to eat more and more food to make up for the lack of micronutrients, and if you only eat processed food, you never get them. So again, you can overeat on macronutrients without getting micros, and your body never shuts off the hunger signals. You keep overeating, and you're probably building an unhealthy gut microbiome, which is probably leading to chronic disease, okay? And in effect, we are what we eat, right? And that makes sense. If you eat healthy foods, you're probably going to be healthy, and if you eat junk, you're going to be unhealthy. So again, the point here is that when I made this dietary change, this nutrition change, this lifestyle change, I didn't try to remove processed foods. I didn't try to become restrictive against the processed foods. I added the plant-based fibrous sources of foods into my diet, and the other stuff just kind of got pushed out slowly over time. Now, here's the thing. If you eat 5 grams of fiber a day and you try to jump from 5 grams to 30 grams, your body's not going to like it, okay? So your gut microbiome is adapted to what you eat. So if you make an overnight change like that, you go from 5 grams to 30 grams of fiber a day, your gut microbiome is going to attack you, okay? It's not going to have the microbes to break down those foods. So you're going to get gas, you're going to get bloated, you're going to get discomfort. The bottom line is that you need to make these changes slowly. So pick a couple, go to the grocery store, go to the produce section, and buy like one of a couple different foods you like. Buy an apple, buy some bananas, buy some lettuce of some sort, buy a little broccoli or whatever. Buy the things you like and slowly introduce them into your diet. And what that'll do is over time, your gut microbiome will adapt to those things. But again, you add the fibrous foods too fast, and your gut microbiome's not going to like you. So what you want to do is maybe add 5 grams of fiber to your daily intake per month, okay? And that's pretty slow. What that would mean is that if you have 5 grams this month Add 5 grams for a month to your daily fiber intake. The month after that, add another 5 grams. The month after that, add 5 grams. And after a few months, you'll be up by that daily recommended fiber intake, which I think is 25 to 35 grams, depending on your, your caloric intake. So I think I eat like 40 to 50 grams of fiber a day, depending on the day. The bottom line is that you have to eat this fiber because, and you have to get that fiber from diverse plant-sourced foods, because it will nourish your gut microbiome. It will diminish your likelihood of getting these chronic diseases due to the inflammation caused by an unhealthy diet, caused by leaky gut, caused by all these things. So in doing this, again, again, as I said, your gut microbiome will be able to, your enzymes, they will be able to synthesize the compounds your body needs. They'll shut off the hunger signals. Again, this is the best way to push these poor diet habits out of your life. If you try to make a change overnight, it's not going to work, okay? If you quit all the junk food cold shoulder, your gut microbiome is not going to be adapted to the new diet that you take on. So I'm going to address the exercise a little bit as well, because it's kind of important. Again, if you try to make a lifestyle change and you don't include exercise, you're kind of missing out on half of the boat, because we know exercise is good for us. Now, you don't have to be a marathon runner. You don't have to be a bodybuilder. Just start walking, okay? Or maybe cycling. That might be easier if you're obese and your joints can't handle walking, or maybe an elliptical. Do what you can do, and in the same way that you increase the fiber intake and the plant-based fibers foods, slowly increase the amount of exercise. Walk a half a mile, increase it to a mile over a course of a month or so, 2 miles, 3 miles. Maybe you start running a little bit, maybe you start cycling, maybe you elliptical, maybe you start weight training. Do what you like. Maybe you have a sport you like. Go play basketball or tennis. Those are 2 really good sports for cardio. There's a lot of things you can do. Now, I will add a caveat. If you're only strength training and you're not doing any cardio, you should do some cardio, okay? Because cardio is good. Whether it's just walking or hiking, just do some cardio. Don't become a bodybuilder that does no cardio. That's not good for you. And I'll be honest, I do everything. I cycle a lot. I cycle to the store. I cycle everywhere. I cycle, I run, I hike, I strength train. I do calisthenics. I do a little bit of everything. If I had a place to swim, I would swim a lot more. But I mean, the bottom line is that when you add diversity to the sources of exercise, it's going to be easier to be consistent with it. In the same way that if you add diversity to your diet, it's going to be easier to stay consistent with it. Okay, so you're not eating the same salad every night. Maybe you're eating salad one night, broccoli another night, sweet potatoes, corn. Like, there's so many foods that you can eat, and the more you diversify, the easier it's going to be to stay consistent. And the more, and again, as you add that plant-based fiber to your diet, it's going to push out those processed foods. It's going to shut off the hunger signals, and you're going to be able to make a lifestyle change to your nutrition. Now, one more section in this video, I'm going to discuss some of the excuses we tell ourselves to basically avoid eating healthy. The first one I hear is that it's expensive, okay? And this is not true, okay? If you go into a supermarket, they are throwing food at you, okay? They would need to get it off the shelves, and this is especially true if you don't live in a food desert, okay? If you do live in a food desert, you're going to have to resort to canned vegetables, or, canned food in general, or maybe rice, right? Rice is pretty cheap. Maybe you're not going to get that awesome produce section that you can get near larger cities, right? But the bottom line is that you can buy healthy food cheap. And to prove this to you, I eat 3,200 calories a day, give or take, and I pay about $11 or $12 on average for those. Now, I'm pretty good at shopping, okay? And that's part of the process. You have to become good at shopping. You have to become good at looking for deals. You can't just go to the store and say, I want this tonight, and pay whatever price is there. You have to buy the stuff when it's on sale. If you're going to buy some chicken, freeze it. If you're going to buy berries, freeze really well. Okay, I freeze blackberries and blueberries. I have about, who knows, tens of pounds of blackberries and blueberries frozen right now. There's, there's fruits that you can't freeze. You can't really freeze bananas very effectively unless you peel them. But bananas remain cheap pretty much all the time. Again, you have to shop wisely. You can't just go to the store and buy whatever you want that night. You have to kind of work around the deals that you see. And that helps with the variety too. Okay, so, if a store has a surplus of something one week, they're going to put it on sale, and that's what you're going to eat. Okay, it's pretty simple. So I do not accept the idea that eating healthy is expensive. Now, some people say they have no time to cook, right? Or they don't know how to cook. We'll address the time factor first, okay? Again, cooking is not hard, and I'd say I cook about 3 hours a week. Now, I'm pretty good at cooking, okay? Now, I'm not saying I'm a 5-star cook, a 5-star chef. What I'm saying is that I know how to cook what I want to eat, and I can do it efficiently. That's what I'm saying. So it takes time to build that efficiency, but if you never start to build that efficiency, then you remain in this hole, okay? And you never build the skill to cook efficiently. So you got to start, and it doesn't take that long to get good at cooking either. You're going to, if you have a certain food you like, a certain recipe, you cook that thing a few times over a few months, you're going to become good at cooking it. You're going to become efficient. You're going to, again, you're going to be washing dishes while stuff's on the stove. It's the efficiency that you build over time. But if you keep telling yourself you don't have time, then you keep forcing yourself to buy the processed food and the fast food, right? Again, you're making excuses because you're never taking the initial steps to dive in, okay? If you dive into learning how to cook, learning that skill, you're going to get better at it, and you're going to get better quickly. Again, not enough time. How about not enough? So people often say they don't have enough energy. They're too tired to cook, too much stress from their work, right? Well, the problem with this argument is that if you say you don't have energy to cook healthy and eat healthy, then the reason you don't have energy is because you're eating unhealthy food, okay? If you ate healthier, you would have an extra 3 hours of energy a day. Your work capacity would basically increase if you ate healthier. And again, it's the same with saying you don't have enough time to cook. You're basically digging yourself into a hole because you're eating unhealthy foods. And you're in the same way that you never learn how to cook, you never build that work capacity because you're eating like crap. If you eat healthy and add exercise to your life, you're going to actually you're going to increase your work capacity. You're going to increase the amount of energy you have. You're not going to get tired as quickly because, again, you build that work capacity. So if you learn how to cook, again, that's another argument I'll address, but if you learn how to stop making excuses, you're going to build the skills and you're going to build the work capacity to become good at cooking. And that's kind of the takeaway here. It's that basically all of these excuses, they're excuses, and you're kind of victimizing yourself because you never took the time to build the skills that kind of make these excuses obsolete. Okay, so another thing people will say is they don't want to spend all their time cooking when they want to spend time with their children. There's absolutely no reason you can't just cook with your children. Teach your children how to cook. It's one of the best skills you can give somebody, and in that process you're teaching them healthy eating habits too. It's a win-win. It's in every way you can think of. Cooking meals at home is a win. You save money, you teach your children to cook, you teach yourself healthy eating habits, you teach your children healthy eating habits, you learn the skill of cooking. And again, if you say you can't cook, if that's your excuse, then you're just not trying, okay? Anyone can follow steps to cook, okay? It's literally just as easy as 1, 2, 3. You don't have to be super efficient at the beginning. You're not going to be super efficient at the beginning. But after 2 months, you're going to be surprisingly better at it. So, again, just Think about those things, okay? Think about the excuses you make to yourself that tell you not to eat healthy, and realize that in reality, all of these things kind of create vicious cycles that victimize and excuse yourself to eat the processed food. Okay, my phone died, so sorry about the cut. But I was talking about how when you make excuses and you victimize yourself and tell yourself that you can't eat healthy, whether because you can't afford to do it, or you don't have time to cook, or you don't know how to cook, or you don't have the energy to cook. When you make these excuses, you fall into vicious cycles, okay? Because if you never eat healthy, you never gain the energy that you would have from eating healthy, right? If you never take the steps to learn how to shop well, to learn how to shop wisely, you're going to overpay for food, okay? If you never take the steps to learn how to cook, then you're never going to learn how to cook. All of these things are self-fulfilling prophecies. You're falling into vicious cycles that only worsen your health in the long run, okay? You're not cheating anybody but yourself. And that's kind of the point here. It's that at the end of the day, you're just falling behind, and it's because you're victimizing yourself and saying that you can't eat healthy and exercise ultimately. And that's the thing about nutrition and exercise, is that when you get those things on point, all of the other aspects in your life kind of fall into place, okay? The discipline that you build from regimented exercise and healthy nutrition, it feeds into other aspects of your life, whether it be your career life or your family life. It's going to improve everything. Your brain chemistry is going to just be better because you're literally just healthier. The discipline, the discipline of exercise and healthy nutrition, it feeds into your mental and physical health. And what else are you but your mental and physical health? If you're mentally and physically healthy, I swear to you, you can take on the world. So, again, I'm just going to end this video with some kind of nutrition and exercise tips, okay? First tip, meal prep, okay? So cook in bigger batches, all right? Cook for 3 to 5 days at a time. It takes just as long to cook 5 days of rice as it does to cook 1 day of rice. So figure out how long food stays good in the refrigerator. Get some good Tupperware. And another tip with the Tupperware, buy the same type of Tupperware. Buy maybe 2 different sizes and get the same exact type. You don't want all those lids and all those different sizes. You don't want to have to worry about matching them, right? Buy 2 sizes and the same exact type every time. You know, you have to buy it every year or so because you lose them or you break them or whatever. Go back and buy the same 2 types, okay? But again, cook in bigger batches. That's the main tip here. Second, when you go shopping, shop on the outside of the store. Buy the produce, buy, a little dairy, go buy the lean meats or whatever. Shop along the outside of the store. And if you do go into the middle of the store, don't buy the processed foods, okay? Buy the raw ingredients, rather. Buy the oils, buy the spices, buy salt, buy sugar, right? Buy the whole grain flour, buy vinegar, okay? Don't buy the Cheez-Its and the Doritos and the ice cream. If you're gonna make ice cream, try to do it the old-fashioned way, okay? Get the cream and the sugar and make it yourself. And that leads to another thing. If you eat a lot of salads, buy a salad spinner. If you like to make bread at home, buy a bread maker or something. Buy the kitchen utensils that you're going to use, and you'll find there's like a sense of pride when you use them. I have a salad spinner that I cracked the top of it, and it's like, hell yeah, that thing got so much use, I ended up breaking the thing. And it still works, actually, but the bottom line is that when you have a food processor, or something that you use all the time, a dough mixer or whatever, and you use it a lot, it kind of makes you feel good. So in addition to that, also, before you buy any food processors or anything, get a chef's knife and a paring knife and learn how to sharpen them. And also get 2 size cutting boards. Get a small cutting board and a larger cutting board. You're going to those 4 things, between the 2 knives and the 2 cutting boards, they will go very far, okay? And as well as learning how to sharpen them, that helps. So you don't necessarily need to get a super expensive knife, right? But an expensive knife will have better steel. It'll last a little longer. But if you learn how to sharpen them, it really doesn't matter. So you can buy a knife steel that'll help you sharpen it. Look up a YouTube video. Sharpening takes skill. I'm not good at sharpening, but I can get it sharp enough to cut lettuce and whatnot. So another tip to kind of segue into the exercise tips. After you eat a meal, go on a walk. Okay, walk for 10 minutes. What this does is it helps lower the glucose spikes in your blood. Okay, it helps lower the blood sugar from the meal you ate. And the reason it does that is because when you use your legs after eating, it pushes that glucose into your muscles. Okay, and the reason it does that is because your muscles use glucose, right? So instead of it just flowing around in your blood, it's going to get kind of pushed to, especially when you use your legs after a meal, it's going to get pushed to your legs, your leg muscles basically. And that's kind of where strength training comes in. When you build muscle over time, it's a really slow process, but when you build muscle, your muscle helps to basically, I'll say this, okay, people that strength train a lot, they have lower levels of diabetes. And the reason for that is because that muscle stores glycogen. And so if you eat a bunch of sugar, it's going to be stored in the muscles rather than flowing around in the blood, right? Or, leading to fatty liver or whatever it may be. That's why strength training is good for you. And as I said earlier, don't just strength train. You want to do cardio too. Cardio is, if you're going to pick one or the other, I wouldn't actually pick one or the other, but if you had to pick one or the other, I would say to pick cardio. The bottom line is that you want to keep your heart healthy, but you also want to keep your joints healthy, and you do that by keeping your muscles strong, by keeping your strength up. You don't even have to be a bodybuilder. Instead, just kind of focus on strength training. And I know that may sound contradictory if you don't happen to know the difference between muscle building and strength training. The truth is there's a lot of crossover, but there is training that's specifically designed to build strength, which is the ability to move weight, right? And then there's the type of weightlifting that's designed to build muscle. It's hypertrophy, right? If you're familiar with the difference between strength and hypertrophy, then I'm preaching to the choir. But if not, again, you don't need to build obscene amounts of muscle. All you need to do is strength train and do cardio. And that's this kind of, again, another tip for the exercise side of this. Do stuff you like, okay? If you like cycling, cycle. If you like playing basketball or some other sport, do that, okay? But don't try to force yourself to run just because people tell you to run. That's not going to help you. Instead, if you have a physical job, that may be enough exercise for you. The bottom line is that you don't need to force yourself into these boxes of exercise. There's a million ways to exercise, and they all have different aspects, okay? So if you like doing something weird, then do it. If you like skipping is great exercise. Go skip. If you like doing calisthenics, do calisthenics. If you like doing, I don't know, whatever it is, you don't need to, again, put yourself into the boxes that other people put themselves into when it comes to exercise. Just move your body, get your heart rate up, maybe do something that makes your muscles burn a little bit, and that'll be enough, okay? You don't need to kill yourself here. Zone 2 cardio is good. It's recommended to get, I think, 150 minutes of Zone 2 cardio a week. And if you don't know what Zone 2 means, just Google it. It's Zone 2 means 60 to 70% of your max heart rate. And your max heart rate is 220 minus your age. Theoretically, that's an estimate. But so if you take your age and subtract it from 220 and multiply that number times 0.6 to 0.7, that's Zone 2. So if you 150 minutes a week, that's I don't know, if you exercise 5 days a week, that's what, 30 minutes a week, or 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. That would be like an easy run, or maybe a harder bike ride for 30 minutes 5 days a week. That seems like a lot, but again, you don't want to jump into these intense level of exercises. You want to build up to this, okay? And if that means you need to walk starting a mile at a time, you need to walk, then just walk. Okay, you don't need to be Usain Bolt. You don't need to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. Just exercise and eat healthy. That's it. You do those two things, and your life will fall into place. And all of the stress, all of your lack of energy, you'll even save money. I promise you, if you learn how to do these things, you'll be more confident. The bottom line is that exercise and nutrition are the cornerstone of a healthy lifestyle. They are the foundation. If you get those right, everything else will just become a whole lot easier. So thanks for watching.